Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Perhaps you guessed by the thumbnail or the video title, I've got another Bulwarks to show you today. Yes, that's right, the artist formerly known as Neymar that decided that they would be better off rebranding as Bulwarks. Still not sure that that was a good idea. And perhaps, as you guessed from the thumbnail, I think this is the biggest and weightiest of the Bulwark / Neymars that I've reviewed to date. Dodgy branding aside, you get a fair chunk of watch on your wrist for $220 US. Let's flip the camera and have a look at this load of Bulwarks. So it's a dark green box with the letters R, L and X on it. That can only mean one thing: this is made in China. And indeed it is, Shenzhen City in China. So BLW is Bolin watch, so there is some basis to the rather unusual name that they chose, but they probably should have chosen something else. But the watches are rock solid. I've looked at 3 Neymars, I believe, and this is the second Bulwarks that I have reviewed, and they've all been big, chunky, well-spec'd and well-manufactured. Mostly dive-style watches that don't cost a fortune. $219 on Amazon.com, available in a bunch of different colorways. Link in the description of the video as always. And you get the impression that this is one for the big boys today. Sized up for my 7-inch wrist, there are 5 spare links. Now that's 8.5 inches, I reckon, with no problems at all. So if you like your watches big and chunky, or you're a guy with an 8.5 inch wrist, this is the kind of piece that you should be looking at. And not for the first time with a Bulwark / Neymar, we're kind of somewhere in between Tudor and Rolex. It's a bit like a deep sea meets a black bay in terms of the design and the case shape, and it's a big one. 43mm in diameter, 16mm thick, 52mm lug tip to lug tip, 22mm lug width, bit of a taper down to 20, back up to 22 at the clasp, and sized up for me, 7-inch wrist as noted, 211 grams. There's a fairly small tranche of watches that I've reviewed that have topped 200 grams. They've all been these slightly bigger, 42, 43, 44. You certainly know you're wearing a watch when you've got one of these on your wrist. 316L stainless steel on the case, the crown, the bezel, and it's a full stainless steel bracelet. Solid links, just push pins, but easy to adjust, no problems at all there. Solid end links. Now, the only kind of fly in the ointment spec-wise is this. A fairly basic pressed clasp. I've kind of set my own rule, my own bar at $200. I feel that if you're paying more than $200 for a watch, it really should have a scissor clasp rather than one of these cheaper style pressed clasps. But you do get a nice piece of domed sapphire crystal. One of these ones, it's obviously double dome, but there is still a nice bit of distortion at the extremities of the viewing angle. And you get a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert. I'll put up the loom video early today. The loom is actually pretty good on this one. Applied indices, and they appear to have been deep filled, as have the hands. Reasonable proportion between the hands, the dial, the indices, etc, etc. So BGW9, you get that ice blue glow, and it lasts for a reasonable duration of time as well. Definitely an improvement on some of the cheaper Neymar models that I've looked at. They haven't been all that fantastic. So you've got a kind of semi-shrouded crown guards, a very nice chunky, that looks like about an 8mm crown. It's got JB on the end of it, not quite sure what that means, but plenty of grip and a satisfying pop from the Seiko NH35 movement. Of course it's a Seiko NH35. Did you ever doubt for a second that it was anything else? Bezel is pretty much what you'd expect, 120 click unidirectional rotating dive time. Action is alright, no backplate, it all feels pretty good, and it actually lines up nicely with the indices. Not the easiest to grip because it's this Tudor style thin bezel and it doesn't protrude. You're probably better working it from an angle, but then again, having something that's too easy to turn isn't always a good thing. Zoomed in on the dial, and you can see it's a printed dial with BLWRX under the index at 12. 4 lines, professional. Now 1000 meters of water resistance. You do get a helium escape valve opposite the crown to assist with that. Water resistant, automatic. Applied indices though, kind of classic Submariner. You've got the triangle at 12, you've got batons at 6 and 9, and you've got circular indices elsewhere. Seen this on many a Rolex. Nice little frame around the date window there at the 3 o'clock, and it's a pretty good looking Mercedes handset with a big lollipop second hand. Nicely proportioned, nicely finished, and with a bevel in the middle, so there's a bit of texture to catch the light with those ones. Also, minute track around the outside. Standard Submariner style stuff here. And press clasp accepted. The bracelet is quite a nice one. Nice smooth finish on these links. They're nice looking links, decent size but not too thick, bit of curvature to help them conform to the wrist. And you actually get a diver's extension. Don't see many of these other than on some of the kind of mid-range Seiko divers, so nice to see a watch that's claiming to be a professional dive piece. It's a fairly cheap looking clasp, but it's quite nice in operation with the double safety pushers in the side. Nice to see it actually being dive capable, adding that diver's extension on as well for you. Popping a link to show a Rolex style screw down case back, and you'd need a bloody good one to permit 100 bar, 3,300 feet, 1,000 meters of water resistance. Bulwarks and JB 1995 in the middle, pointing at the origins of the company. And contained within we have a Seiko NH35, as noted, 24 jewels, hacks hand winds, 42-hour power reserve, rugged, robust, reliable, and reasonably accurate. This one spinning away in the boxy winders for 3 weeks to give me a good baseline reading, coming in at plus 9 point something per day. If you're getting one of these that's operating within 10 seconds per day, you're doing okay. And there it is on wrist. You're not going to miss that one in a hurry, are you? Big slab-sided case, very much like the Tudor Black Bay, but as noted with Rolex notes, shall we say, in that Mercedes hands, etc, etc. Pretty comfortable, it wears not bad, 200 plus grams. I have to crank these up nice and tight so they don't bobble around. I guess most people will be doing the same with this one, but it wears quite well for a big boy. And zoomed higher for perspective, I do like the green sunburst on the dial. It's a really rich, it's kind of British racing green, Aston Martin green. Looks nice with the shiny black of the ceramic bezel insert. And outside, that green tone is nice and prominent when you get it into some natural light. All pretty legible, you know, divers tend to be quite easy to read. As noted, it is a big boy, not a lot of curvature to the case, and the extended mid-links do leave a little bit of gap there, so you are going to have to wear this one perhaps tighter than you normally would. Moans and niggles. Well, I've talked about the clasp twice, that's probably enough, I'm not going to mention it again. 52mm lug tip to lug tip, but look at that mid-link of the end link, effectively 59mm lug tip to lug tip. So there is no mistaking, this is a big watch. It looks like a big watch, it feels like a big watch, and it wears like a big watch. It's not disguising it by having a kind of half link and inverted mid link and conforming to the wrist easily. And as much value as there is in this one at $220, I reviewed this one from Neymar last year at $159 with essentially the same set of specifications. Apart from the water resistance going up to 1,000 meters, which, let's be honest, is a bit of a marketing gambit anyway. Nobody's going to test that claim. I'm not really sure where in this watch justifies an extra $60 US over the previous one. And are you a bit bored? I'm a bit bored. I've looked at a few of these Neymar Bulwarks, and as good as they are, they just seem to keep churning out the same Tudorexes, you know, roll doors, mishmash of a couple of different designs from Swiss manufacturers. They're not particularly interesting, I don't think. About time that they came up with an original design, if you ask me. So not a bad watch if you're a big guy and you like something big and chunky on your wrist, but there are probably better offerings from within the Neymar Bulwarks stable that do the same thing for less cash. So there you have it, another Neymar / Bulwarks. You pick the branding that you dislike the least. You can also pick a whole bunch of colorways, as discussed. I'll leave a link to that one in the description of the video. For $220 US, you're getting a fair chunk of watch. Although I must admit, even I'm getting slightly bored with them churning out Tudor, Rolex, homage style things. They're all pretty much blending into one as far as I'm concerned. So come on, Neymar / Bulwarks, give us an original design next time, please. Clearly you're capable of producing high quality, bargain basement priced dive watches. Show us something a bit original, please. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.